24-6, the final score from AT&T Stadium as the Cowboys get win number 5 of the 2022 campaign as they take down the Detroit Lions at home here in week number 7 as we welcome you to the Star in Frisco. And the first word presented by Dr. Pepper, taking a look back on how the Cowboys improved to 5-2. Alongside Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, and Nate Newton, 3 former Cowboys up here. I'm Kyle Yeomans. And gentlemen, the defense came up whenever they needed to. They had the big plays throughout. Dak Prescott in his return, 19 of 25 throwing, 207 yards and a touchdown. Not your normal offensive output. You still want the offense to play better, but you got the win, and that's what matters.
Yeah, defensively, I think the Cowboys defense did what they had to do to get this victory. You take the ball away 5 times out there, you're playing winning football. And like we talked about in the pregame show, that defensive line, they come in waves. You talk about Parsons and Lawrence the first wave. Sam Williams showed up in this game. Dorrance Armstrong as well. And, of course, my safety member Wilson came in there and joined the party with some sacks as well. So defensively, they did their thing. They had to do their thing in order to get this W. Offensively, you saw it was a little bit of rust coming out the gates. You saw Dak Prescott really not in tune with his receivers early on, but I felt as the game progressed, he got more cool, calm, and collected with this offense. The running game was on point as well. So overall, I think it was a good victory for the Cowboys.
I agree with you in the sense that the offense started building, right? Those guys started building on it. You know, Dak started settling in. The running game was going, right? And we know how effective Dak is when you have the running game. Defensively, they did what you expect them to do whenever a team has to drop back and pass. When teams have to drop back and pass, these boys are going to go after you. They're going to get you. They're going to take the ball away, whether it's in the air, where they're going to get sacks and strip sacks. But running game, I'm still not convinced. I think Detroit was doing a heck of a job moving the ball on the ground. They had a couple things that did not work to their advantage, and that's something that Dan Quinn and this defense is going to want to shore up going into the rest of the season.
You know, I always believe this right here. You are who you are. And Detroit, a good team that's fiery. They play hard. They run all over the field, but they make those critical plays that kept the Cowboys in it. This right here, when Coach McCarthy go in tomorrow and say, hey, we got past this, it's going to be a lot of things that he said that slipped by us. We're going to have to get better, fellas.
It wasn't pretty, and you could see that. There was a point in that ball game where all it took was the touchdown from Jamal Williams, and Detroit has a lead late in that football game. The fumble at the goal line, that felt like the turning point. But from that point forward, Dallas put it on the gas and really got after it as we take a look at some of these final stats. But that's really what it looks like was the turning point, and they had to take advantage from there.
Yeah, losing teams do losing things to lose games. I mean, if you go out there, you get that touchdown right there. The whole mojo, the whole momentum of that game switches around. But like you said, Williams fumbles the ball on the 1 yard line. Anthony Barr was able to pick it up, and I believe the Cowboys were able to go down the field in that same series. So that was a huge turning point in the game, and the Cowboys were able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you in that regard. I mean, losing teams do losing things. The fumble on the goal line, that was absolutely everything. And you also look at the fact that the interception of Trayvon Diggs that was not challenged by the league, that obviously worked in the favor of the Dallas Cowboys. So there was a number of things in that instance that really helped out the Dallas Cowboys. When those things occurred, Dallas took advantage of it offensively, and that's ultimately what you have to do, getting the ball down there in the red zone, giving it to Zeke, converting on those red zones that we have not done very well with in recent times. These guys get 2 touchdowns on the ground to Zeke, and obviously go out there and take the dub.
I just tell you, Isaiah, fellas, our run game was doing what it needed to do, and I'm most of the positive guy. Our offensive line kind of took a beating there.
Yes.
We got to get much better. Dak got to knock a lot of the rust off. I'm glad he bought into the run game in the second half because that's what saved us. Yeah. That kept our defense rested and ready to go, and that allowed Parsons and that crew to take over as the game went on.
Yeah, you're right about the offensive line. Felt like maybe they had some struggles throughout. Tyler Smith probably had one of his worst games of the year. Still a rookie, going up against a rookie, though, in Aiden Hutchinson. And Hutchinson definitely won that battle a couple different times. But what did you think about Dak Prescott and how he looked in the return?
Overall, like I said a little bit earlier, he was a little bit rusty. Just a little bit. The timing, you can tell. I mean, we take 5 weeks off. You can't just get right back in the saddle and things just click like it was before. You're going to take a little bit of rust. And it was a little rusty between him and his receivers. Their time was a little bit off. But I loved how he came out in the second half. Like Nate said, they leaned on the ground game. I think that calmed down the offense and was able to give him better, more open looks to the receivers, and he was able to capitalize on that.
I think it's very interesting that there was a couple of times where Dak tried to force the ball down the field. And there was times there, I think 2 plays specifically that I can think about that there was triple coverage, literally triple coverage. The one time they just dropped the interception, and then the second time it just got knocked down, right? But ultimately he was forcing the ball, and you saw Coach McCarthy when they were getting ready to go for it on 4th down down there near the red zone, and Coach McCarthy and Kellen Moore put the offense out there, gave him a chance. They lined up. Coach McCarthy didn't like the look. He pulled him off the field. I'm pretty sure that was going to be a pass play called. He really pulled the reins back, and you saw Coach McCarthy really take over and say, young fella, run the doggone ball. That's what we're doing effectively. Let's take the ball out of Dak's hand until we figure this thing out.
And I want to say, even going into halftime, he spoke to the proper people saying, hey, fellas, we need to slow this down, get our run game back, let Dak ease himself into it. And C.D. Lamb, you made some nice catches today. Yes. Noah Brown, you made some nice catches today. Dalton Schultz, glad to see you made it back.
And Peyton Hendershot finding his way into the end zone. It's National Tight Ends Day. I mean, if you've had an opportunity to look on social media, and Peyton Hendershot celebrated accordingly. But this wasn't the cleanest win. Where do they need to focus in on this week, going up against the Bears next week? Still a winnable game right back here at AT&T Stadium. So where do they need to focus their attention to heading into the week of preparation?
I would have to say the offensive line. And if you looked at it, they took a beating today, especially Tyler Smith off the edge. I think Adrian Hutchinson, Hutchinson. He had a heck of a game out there off the edge. And the Bears got a couple guys that can get after the quarterback, including Robert Quinn, who was once a Dallas Cowboy. So to me, offensive line, get it in gear because the Bears are coming to town.
I think the Detroit's defense and how hard they play, right, playing on the shoulders of the head coach. You saw their effort, everything that they did, defensively, offensively. These guys put out a lot of effort. So offensively, I totally agree with you. I'm going to go with our defensive line in our second level, right? That box seven, those guys have to find a way to be more effective in the running game because teams that want to impose their will are doing so. Now, if they get in a position where they have to throw the ball, now they're in your playground, right? They're at your house. But in terms of running the ball, if they're allowed to do what they were doing prior to the fumble, we're going to run into some problems.
We got to get back to, they had a week off, and I knew they was pumped up because what happened to them 2 weeks ago versus the Patriots, a 0, an egg, they didn't like that. So they were pumped up and they were ready. But I believe that our offensive and defensive line, get back to your techniques, get back to a little bit more physical practice, reset your mindset so you can come out and be a little bit better. The penalties, fellas, y'all had wiped them out. You brought them back this week.
With a little bit of a help from the Detroit side of things, the defense held a team out of the end zone for the first time all season long. Detroit never found pay dirt. They only had the couple field goals in the first half, and they were shut out completely in the second half, held underneath 315 total yards, and they only had 190 through the air. But that does it for us here on The First Word, presented by Dr. Pepper. Plenty more post-game reaction to come from the Cowboys' 24-6 win over the Detroit Lions. For Barry, Isaiah, and Nate, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you for Cowboys Game Night and Cowboys OT coming up soon.